You can find me as Exterminate on Instagram. This is part 2 of the Catching You Up episode, and so we're just going to dive right in. I'm not wearing my scrappy cardi. I actually haven't blocked it yet, but it's supposed to be 85 degrees here today, and so I'm not sure I would necessarily be wanting to wear it even if I had, but it's on my list of things to do today. I've had a very productive week, and it feels good to be recording again. I really enjoy, I really liked having only about a half an hour to edit. That really worked well for me, and so I'm thinking about maybe keeping up with that format in the future. We'll see. I'm drinking out of my Roots and Rain yarn mug. This is a mug that Donna from Roots and Rain Yarn offered in her Etsy shop a while ago. I believe she sold out of all of them, but she had them made for her shop. I absolutely love this mug. It's this kind of wide, sturdy, gorgeous. I think I've used it every day since I got it while we've been here. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing I have to show you is actually not a knit. It's a crochet. Is that the correct term? A crochet? I don't think so. It's crochet. This is, let me show it to you and then I'll speak a bit about it. Ah, isn't that pretty? This is the Half a Granny Square. It's a free pattern from Church Mouse Yarns. And I am knitting this entirely with scraps of self-striping yarn or self-patterning yarn. For instance, right now, I'm adding in an old scrap, an old opal. I have others that I'm gonna add in. This one was in Valkyrie fibers that I knit actually for a teacher at my daughter's school who won. I auctioned off as part of their annual auction, I entered a pair of hand knit socks, and this is the yarn that she chose for those, which was really fun. This is a fantastic pattern. I love working on this. I'm using a Clover. It's a D 3.25 millimeter, and it's just right. It's creating this really gorgeous drape, and I'm just loving it. I haven't worked on it in a little while, and I'd love to get back to it. So there's a funny story about this pattern. This shawl. I cast it on at the beginning of February, and at the time I was completely binge watching Allie, Starry-Eyed Allie. I was binge watching her podcast and vlogs. So Allie has This Little Wonderful Life. That's her vlog. Wonderful footage of her family and the things that they're up to. And then she also has a knitting and crochet podcast called Little Drops of Wonderful. I don't even know why I'm telling you all of this. You probably know. In case you don't, hop on over. She's absolutely a treasure and so much fun to watch. So I'm binging these episodes, and I see in the background of one of them, I had just cast this on, and I see in the background of one of them what looks like a granny stripe blanket. And I thought, oh, that is so gorgeous. Maybe I should have cast on the blanket. And I just left it. Then I was watching another episode, maybe the following day, 2 days later, and Allie showed what I thought had been a blanket, and it was this shawl, or a very similar shawl. And so I was so excited I posted that on Instagram and thought, gosh, I hope I don't sound like some kind of crazy stalker. So yeah, that's another project I have going. Lots of shawls. And then my last shawl on my needles is the Memory Keepers shawl. And this is a design by Paulina Carew. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And I am knitting this. Let me first show you the little tiny bit that I have so far. I am knitting this with my James Makes Things minis that I purchased as a part of his 12 Days of Kitschmas around Advent time. And I'm knitting these, the pattern calls for fingering weight yarn held double. And so I'm knitting these with my all-time favorite white. This is Madeline Tosh Farmhouse White. I love this white. It's sort of a gray cream. It's my favorite. And so there's the Farmhouse White. This is the Euro sock, which I believe is 100% merino wool. I don't think there's any nylon in this base. And then these are some of the minis from James Makes Yarn that I'll be adding in. I'll be adding these in fairly soon. This is the one that's going in now. I'm actually really excited that this one is the beginning of the shawl because it's my favorite, I think, of the whole bunch. And so that's really nice that it's sort of getting the most shawl space. This is a really nice pattern. I absolutely love the seed stitch. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. It's been lovely. I just cast it on recently, kind of impulsively, one Friday in April. I just decided to do it. I really wanted to use these minis. They're so bright and they're so happy, and I just really wanted to get them into a project. So that's my only other whip. Now I've got sips to share with you. Sorry about the needle clanking. So my sock whips took a bit of a turn in April. I was participating in the Rainbow Sock Chronicles knit along that was hosted by Jules of So Sweet Violet and Kelly of Lay Family Yarn. It's a year-long knit along. Each month you knit a sock of a different color of the rainbow. You can find all of that information on Jules's podcast. I'll link that down below. So I was going great guns. I had January. Wow. This is really bright. February, and March. Done. What I was doing was, and you can see that pretty clearly here, I was knitting in the next month's color into each of the little toes. Around this same time, I started feeling like I just don't need any more socks. I have a ton of hand knit socks. I suppose I could give some away or kind of put some in use, some out of use. They just all feel really precious to me. And I decided, you know what, I don't need to knit any more socks for myself. I really want to be knitting socks for others. And so, let's see, my yellow sock from April. so if I don't pull stitches out, is a good ways done. I'm almost done with the heel flap. But I decided I just needed to let this project go. I'm not sure that I won't pick it up at some point again in the future, but I'm not sure that I will either. I can knit, I think, on average, a pair of socks a month. I could definitely knit more if I was only knitting socks. But because I wanted to be knitting socks for others, knitting these, while wonderful, just weren't allowing me to make that happen, if that makes sense. So I put this aside. It was very liberating to decide, okay, that's just something I need to let go of right now. And I'm happy that I'm able to do that for myself at times. I did the same thing with an activity with my daughter that she just wasn't enjoying, and we let it go. And it's just very liberating to decide what you can say no to and what you want to prioritize. So I am prioritizing hand knit socks for Christmas for several of my close family members who haven't gotten socks yet from me. So Mom and Dad, if you're watching, there's something else, not socks, for you. So this is the sock that I cast on for my mother-in-law. I've never knit her a pair of socks before. I got everybody's shoe size in February. Was it February that I got their shoe sizes? Yes. And so I think by December, they will have completely forgotten that they gave me that information. I am knitting this in Lay Family yarn. And this is the Happy Feet colorway. And then I'm also knitting it with a brown mini that I got some time ago from Playful Day Yarns. This is the Happy Feet. I think these are so pretty together, and they just really remind me of my mother-in-law, Greg's mom. So here's what I've got so far. I'm knitting the pattern Emily's Favorite Socks by Emily Foden. This is one of my absolute favorite patterns. It's a real go-to for me. And because of the ribbing, I feel like it's kind of forgiving in terms of knitting this for other people's feet. The ribbing makes it a good fit pretty much regardless. So yeah, that's what we've got so far. Just really delicate, pretty speckles. Ooh. I did not knit the leg as long as I typically do, and I think that's just, I don't know their preferences, and so I'm just keeping the leg and cuff a little shorter than is typical for me when I knit socks for myself or for Greg. The plan is to also knit socks for my father-in-law and his wife. So yeah, I'm excited. It's been really fun to pick yarn, think about what they might like. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. The other sock on my needle is a sock for Greg, who I have not knit a sock for in well over a year. He is so due a new pair of hand knit socks. This is, the main color is Jug Band Christmas. And this is by Sarah at Murray & Co. Wool Goods. Greg likes the movie Jug Band Christmas. He tried to get our daughter to watch it not too long ago, maybe 2 Christmases ago, and she was just like, what is this? It did seem maybe strange in retrospect, but it's one of those, if you grew up with Jug Band Christmas, you still have a very fond place for it in your heart. So this is what I've got so far. And then I just found a random gray mini and decided to pair it. And I think it's just really nice. It's not an obviously Christmas colorway. And so I'm enjoying it, even now as we're approaching summer, I'm really enjoying knitting it. I knit a 2x2 cuff for 30 rounds. Knit 2, purl 2 for 30 rounds on a size 1. On a size 0. And then I switched to a size 1 for the body of the stock, for the stockinette, just to give the ribbing just a little more squishy, a little more, what am I trying to say? You know what I mean, to make the cuff a little tighter. So that's that one. And then for my mother-in-law's socks, I am knitting them on size 1, the whole sock. US 1, 2.25. Yeah, and these are 2 millimeter, 2.25 millimeter. That is all of my current makes. I've been thinking about the possibility of a knit along, and I would really love to run a knit along. And I have this idea to have a project going over the summer that's really relaxing, it's really easy. I want to use my little stash of No Makers yarn. Unfortunately, Amanda is no longer dying. So I have these precious skeins that I really want to use. And so I had this idea of easy like summer knitting. I just wonder if you might be interested in something like that. Whips would be welcome. There would really be no, hard and fast rules. The only rule would be you knit throughout the summer, you enjoy the project, it relaxes you, you knit some lovely memories into it. And if you're in a different hemisphere, maybe it's knitting a cozy knit for you during this time. Let me know what you think. I am going to be doing it regardless. If people are interested in joining, that would be great. If you have another idea for a knit along that you think might be really fun, I'd love to hear it. So, yes. I'll say goodbye for now and hopefully have another episode up with lots of progress. I very much hope in a few weeks. I'm going to shoot for 3. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you again soon. Until again.